My sister tried to move her daughter into my apartment for free, but my niece appeared alone and exposed her mother's entire plan. For context, I'm 34, I work full-time, and I've been renting a 2-bedroom apartment in a decent district for 3 years. The second bedroom is my office, where I freelance after my day job. My sister, Sarah, is 31 and lives about 3 hours away with my niece Emily, who just turned 14. We were raised in a house where things were divided quite unequally. Our parents bailed Sarah out constantly because she had Emily young. Even after she got her life on track, they paid for car repairs and rent. I moved out at 22 and paid for everything myself. I'm not complaining, but you need to know who the favorite was. 6 weeks ago, Sarah asked if I could help Emily with a school project interviewing a professional. I agreed. The night before, I prepared advice and work samples. The interview was a video call. Emily asked about my education and skills, but then the questions shifted. She asked what neighborhood I lived in, how big the apartment was, about the building's amenities, the schools nearby, and even how much rent I paid. I answered, thinking she was just curious about city life. By the end, I had told her everything about my living situation. 2 days later, Sarah called. She said Emily had fallen in love with my city and realized how many opportunities there were compared to their small town. Then she dropped the bomb. She thought it would be amazing if Emily could come live with me for the rest of high school. She argued Emily would have better schools and that I could be a mentor. Sarah added it would only be for 3.5 years and offered to send me $200 a month to help with food. I stayed silent. $200 wouldn't cover utilities, let alone food for a teenager. Plus, my office would have to become Emily's bedroom, meaning I'd lose income. But mostly, I couldn't stop thinking about the interview. Emily had been gathering intel. I told Sarah no. I didn't have the space, money, or lifestyle to raise a teenager. She started crying, saying I was the only one who could give Emily this opportunity. When I stood my ground, she hung up. An hour later, my phone blew up. My parents were disappointed in me. My mom called me selfish and a bad sister. I blocked strangers messaging me and silenced my family. Only my brother, Mike, supported me. Things were quiet until last Sunday morning. At 7:45 a.m., my mom showed up at my door. She had driven 3 hours. I opened the door, and she walked in without an invitation. Then I noticed Emily in the hallway with a backpack and a duffel bag. Emily looked miserable. Her eyes were red. My mom announced that she and Dad decided Emily would stay with me because it was for the best. I looked at Emily and asked my mom, "Tell me you didn't kidnap her." My mom insisted Sarah agreed and that Emily just needed a place to sleep. She claimed Sarah would visit often. I asked directly if Sarah planned to move to the city. My mom got defensive, admitting Sarah mentioned possibly relocating later. I told her to take Emily home. My mom refused to waste the trip. Emily started crying. I stood firm, and eventually, my mom left with Emily, screaming that I was heartless. Later, I checked Emily's social media. Nothing about moving. She looked happy in her town. Then, I got a message from a woman named Teresa, the mom of one of Emily's friends. She told me Emily had been distressed for a month because Sarah was forcing her to follow this plan. Teresa revealed the missing piece. Sarah planned to move to the city but had no money. Her plan was to get Emily into my apartment first, then move in herself a few months later, claiming it was temporary. I texted Sarah that I knew she planned to move in and was using Emily as a wedge. Sarah called screaming, denying it, and called me a terrible aunt. I haven't spoken to her since. But yesterday, something happened that changed everything. Emily appeared at my apartment alone. She took a bus for 4 hours by herself. I pulled her inside, and she burst into tears. She confessed she never wanted to move. She loves her town and wants to be near her dad. Sarah had forced her to play along, coaching her on exactly what questions to ask about my apartment size to see if there was room for both of them. Emily confirmed that Sarah planned to quit her job and move in once Emily was settled, figuring I'd be too nice to kick them out. But then Emily told me something that actually scared me. She said Sarah was planning to try again in the summer with a new angle. If I didn't agree, they were going to invent an illness for Emily to make it impossible for me to say no. Emily was terrified because her mom was talking about making it realistic. She thought her mom might actually hurt her, like breaking her arm, just to use it as an excuse to get into my apartment. Full story on channel link below.